Okay.
We have started a recording. Welcome to this session today. We started with the art of play in masculinity and femininity, and let's bridge that over to what it means to be aware and conscious, because that's the cornerstone for even being in your masculinity and femininity.
And being playful in the masculine divinity, like divinity, like Astrid said. Sometimes I'm falling over my own words, or their own tongue, or how they say.
So it started with I and Frank. We had a conversation about being aware versus being conscious. And do you like to start? Because I have some definitions here. I'm a researcher, so I was actually wanted to dive deep into that, because a couple of years ago I changed my business name to Vibration Shift, and then on LinkedIn I wrote this. I'm going to read what I wrote for you. Representing consciousness mastery. Consciousness has many stages. This is basically how it can be understood. Consciousness is empowered realities, meaning the ability to think from harmony, create with intensity, and see outside the box. Consciousness is abundant. When you are learning how to be detached from what you want, you are creating abundance. Consciousness is freedom, meaning the freedom to just be. Consciousness is oneness. Love is unconditional and comes from the heart. It includes compassion towards all living beings, being appreciative of differences, culture, race, sexuality, etc. Consciousness is purpose. When you know who you are, then comes action and reality. And consciousness is spirit. We are spirit beings with a human experience. And now I would like to say also, like, consciousness is being present in your masculine and feminine and discerning the differences. How did you like that?
I have the contrarious thinking of the last what you said, because I think this is the part of awareness, and I really looked for a word in German, and you looked for one in Sweden, and there's none for awareness. So I think awareness is complemental element to the consciousness. For me, the consciousness is mostly a thing of the mind. And awareness is to be conscious that I'm not only one person. Because if I'm observing myself, there has to be an observer and someone who is observed.
Well, and that's the perception, right? So awareness is
that's perception. The perception, yes.
Your ability to perceive, and that is forming the base for consciousness. So I think consciousness encompasses awareness, because awareness is the state where your brain is perceiving and discerning something and make reflections, and you can see yourself as an object and so forth. That is part of being conscious.
That could be only if you have dissolved the ego. Because if the ego still is controlling the brain, there's something more what is observing. And that I wanted to say with that, two parts of you. There are two parts. One, the observer, which is not almost consciousness, not always consciousness, but it's something more than the lower you. So I think the awareness is is more the empathical, the emotional part, and consciousness is more the mind, the experiential part. So it could be that consciousness is that what is observing the ego part.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So how is this bringing into masculinity and femininity?
Well, I want to go back to Astrid's question.
Yeah.
How to play fun with the other gender, or to be aware about or conscious about what I'm doing. And she said one bullet point, or what for me in my work I use plenty, is the observer. We made it today in today's seminar here in Tenerife with the Spanish guys, and the observer is observing. And if you go into observing yourself and not always the other, the outside, because if we observe the outside, so we want to join into their rules, join into their things. This is the good boy or good girl syndrome, I call that. But this is not for to create your life, really. It's only to accomplish the rules of the other. Because you have noticed that you can't change the other, you can't change the outside. It's too difficult. So we only get into that mode of them. But that's not living your life. That's living your masks. And so the observer is a very, very good tool for masculine or feminine to experience myself, to experience what is inside, what I'm experimenting in this moment with this girl, with this guy. This is not a thing of gender things. It is a thing of communication, a thing of meeting, a thing of being together. And you notice if the heart is open of the other. You notice this in your own body as till the point where you notice the feelings of the other. Or at least you can enter in telepathy or something like that. So we're here more in the communication thing than in the differences between. Yeah, exactly, Astrid. It's a form of possibilities, and you will discover your potentials behind every problem that comes up.
So, in some way, yes. So, in some way, the consciousness is required in order to be able to play, in a way.
And the awareness.
And awareness. Because and here's another thing is because what Astrid was asking about was how do you create a play between the masculine and feminine, but there is also something about how is it, which I like, can you play with someone who is not conscious? Can you choose someone who's not conscious?
Of course. There's a book which is named. I have to try to traduce that. I have it in Spanish. Love yourself, and never mind to whom you will be married.
Never mind to whom you will be married.
Yeah, because if you love yourself, you're in your power, you're in your force. And I think that's the main proposite for us to to live in this world. We have. If you love yourself, you're in the consciousness, and you're in the awareness to be in your body, to be in your thing, and you know what you like and you know what you don't like. And I think that's the thing for the most. And we come back to the conversation. Then, of course, you have the control of the conversation, because you have an open heart. You don't take it personally. If the other says something, what you don't like, you recognize you don't like that, and you express it. If the other has a reaction, okay, it's his reaction, and I don't have to get into the nurturer and make him feel good.
Yes, exactly. So you don't have to, or become the rescuer.
Or become the rescuer,
or become
exactly.
the victim, or whatever it is, because it's the other person's own stuff, and it's not yours. So that comes from being in your power, and being in your power is being conscious. We're getting some questions here. I'm going to see what's there.
See.
So to observe myself. So I think we need the ego to be able to have a relationship.
No. The ego, well, there's a part of the ego which is safe and healthy. The most part of the ego is construction out of your experiences in the childhood. And this is an old programmation. You don't need that. You don't need that, not for... you need it only to be... if you observe the outside and you want to put you in their rules, then you will need it, okay?
Yeah.
But not... You're creating the world, and if that person, what you are conversating with in this moment, is not the adequate person for a conversation or for having a relationship or something, so you have to look for the next one.
Yeah. So
and that's not in my in my opinion. It's not to try out this and try out that one. It's only to know whom you will take along, like we said in another webinar. Where do you go, and who can go with you?
Yeah, and the ego is constructions from your childhood and upbringing, and
exactly
you have spent your time in. Okay, and then to observe myself feels like exploring a world of possibilities, yes, and different perspectives. Says Astrid. Yeah, I agree. And then Kia says, and also the interaction between you and others, your partners, see the attractiveness and decide if it's safe or not. Oh, there is someone coming up here with safety and safety issues around here. So there is something
in your power.
Yeah, so exactly. So there is something like when you're not in your power, it's easy to feel more like a victim, unsafe. There is that vulnerability has a different meaning compared to if you're in your power and you can feel the vulnerability, but you are ready to leap in. You're not held back by the fear.
And the thing is that you give the other automatically the allowance to also be in his or her vulnerability. This is the point. And then you both can feel safe.
So the more I can be vulnerable, the more you can be vulnerable.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing that exists in basically if you're working with a room and being a leader in a room. The more you as a leader show up in your own vulnerability, the more can actually happen for the participants. It's the same thing in an intimate relationship, is that my vulnerability opens up the other. So yeah, this is really useful. I know myself, I have more choices and also can choose what action to take. Isn't that wonderful, Astrid? I think you need that as a driving force. Siski, I think you need that as driving force. I think most people have a wrong thought of the ego. Ego is the physical part of your physical persona, sure. Yes, that's the theory. It's not happening. If it don't, yeah, I didn't quite understand that.
I'll put the sound on. I mean that it's easy to theorize about how it's going to be like, and then just think about it and talk about it, and then and it doesn't have to. We have to go out there and meet someone and go back and just reflect. What happened? How was it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the observer.
Yeah.
It makes the reflection and gives you the feedback. What's right for me and what's wrong for me.
Yeah, it sounds like, when a child start leaving the mother, she goes out and have a look what's going on out there, and then she runs back to mom, and it's like it was safe. It's almost the same thing. If you're like hurt in a relationship and for some reason we are here talking about these things and need to, I don't know, just have a new experience about love and safety and to integrate that in my body.
Yeah. The thing is that these bad experiences are making something like a hole in your how to say it, in your existence. And if you always go, I don't want to see that hole, you will fall into it every time again. So the thing is that we have to deal with that, and the best way is to accept the pain. Because pain, suffering is a decision. Pain is unavoidable. So suffering is pain multiplied with time. If you want to a physical form. So the thing is, what do I avoid really to look at the pain and what is the power and the potential behind that? In my opinion, in my experience, I saw that always behind the problem there is a potential of you. There's something hidden, something that you know to give very well, and you don't give it to the people.
They say the more you hide out, the bigger pain it is, and that's why it becomes so painful. But it also speaks about the capacity that is under there to step forth into. We're actually going to speak more about how we are going to work with that in the Mastermind, because that's the reason why we create a Mastermind. So Frank has announced that in November we're starting the Mastermind. And we have a specific structure for how it is. So would you like to hear it? Yeah. So the structure is always going to look like the same because we want to create a process in a way. So we're starting with checking in where you are, what's going on in your life. And so there comes this sharing, and then we deliver some content. So each time we will have new kind of content that we will deliver. And then what you don't know about Frank is that he is a tarot expert. And tarot cards, they are really expressing the subconscious part of you. Maybe you like to speak something about tarot cards, Frank.
Well, for me, it's a big way to see where is the path in the life, and it speaks depending on the cards. If you have the big arcanum or the lower arcanum of different spaces in your life. So for me, always it's an entrance in your profound subconsciousness. If I work directly with the cards.
So every time we will have a card like for the energy that is
exactly.
this moment here and now. And it's also every time is so amazing with tarot cards, and I've been working with different kind of tarot cards, and we could have a whole lecture probably on tarot cards, but it's like this. These cards are really, really beautiful, and so we're going to spend some time and energy with that, and then after that we're coming into your own personal stuff, which means that attention will be on you, on what do you want to share, and what's on your mind, and then we will be working with that in this group. And as all work, it's like if someone express a problem or something they're having, it's going to be some indication that everybody more or less can recognize themselves in that. So it's so even though it looks like we're working on one person, it's actually we're working on the whole group.
Yeah. My master always said, if I'm working with one, I'm working the same time with all. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how we're seeing the Mastermind, and we are going to meet the first and third week in every month. So it come twice a month, and we're going to be there for 90 minutes. And from the beginning, it's not much people, so it will be very much more value for you all if you join immediately. So the price is $97. And
dollars? Euros?
We're going to change that to euro, actually. So it's going to be euro. It's true. Now it says we are going to, and we have this free version, so it's just 40 minutes. 40 minutes.
10 minutes more.
Yeah, but we are good because we usually keep them 30 minutes. So if this is something that is for you, the link to that page, or you can just, since you're in Sweden, you can just contact me. I put it here again in the chat box, or you can sign up there. And that's how it looks like.
Yeah, it's we want to go deep inside what we talked about, the holes or those things, what you said, Astrid, to really release that old
programming.
Let's say, programming and connection to emotional connection. If you release the emotional connection to a thought, the thought will go away because it's notified each other. The thought says, "Oh, look, there's an emotion. I'm right," and the emotion says, "Look, there's a thought. I'm right." So if you cut this connection between the emotion and the thought will go away. And even you can't make the past inexperienced. The emotional potence, or what's it called in English, will release so that it don't touch you anymore.
Yeah.
That's the point of the therapeutic point, we could nearly say.
Yeah.
But of course, plenty of times you just with an information of the content part, you can start thinking another way. And therefore we made these free webinars also to give you plenty good content for to think from another perspective. And then it loses its weight, its power, its heaviness, and might be more lightly and could release also the emotions.
Yeah. But here it's again like it's an expansion of awareness. So with the content, we open up the perception, which open up the awareness, and from that awareness, a new consciousness can be created. And I think the consciousness comes when it's integrated in you on an emotional level as well. So it's just sink in, because it's one thing of actually intellectually knowing something theoretically, but not having it in your physical body.
Yeah.
And for me, consciousness is about being in your body and having it there.
Exactly, and we connected with joy, and not with sadness or fear or other emotions which are holding you back. Because the joy is creative.
Yeah,
it's giving you the drive for to create and for to create your life consciously.
Yeah. Yeah, and hey girls, you know that I'm doing this embrace how to embrace the power as a leader, freedom, play, and fun on iTunes. Follow that and see, because there I and Rhonda is sharing what it means to really lead from that space of freedom, play, and fun. So that's really that's the people I want to co-create with, and I think that's our the common values we have. It's just I think that comes from consciousness. And it just have to be fun, because if it's not fun, you don't. No, that's no, and there's no flow in that.
Great, and as you say, hey girls, I also say hey girls, take some boys in here, because it's getting a feminine thing here. I'm the only guy. So invite some friends of you to the free webinar. We will have in between, we will go on now with the free webinars between the masterminds, just for attract more people.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how we were going to do, and it will probably continue at least November.
Thank you, Astrid.
So bring people in here, and yeah, good.
You can invite them to the group, for example. For it's an open group, you can invite them.
Yeah, that's why we created the public group, because in a way to just open up the curiosity for it. It's time to finish now. I'm super happy. It's like you have been here from the beginning, and it feels like you're going to be here. I hope you are signing up for the mastermind so we can really continue this journey together. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm finishing the recording now.